This podcast is part of the Spoon Podcast Network, home of smart conversations that feed your mind.
Hello, hello. I am Chef Ryan Lacey, and this is Soul to Table. Today, I am here with a great creator, a cultivator, and one part of a two-person duo, an amazing husband and wife couple, Tom of Temecula Olive Oil Company. Thank you, Tom. I am such a big fan. I know my dimples are probably like flexing right now, man.
Thank you.
Just being out here, being in the sun, just feeling the nature. How did you end up even coming up with the idea of establishing this company?
Well, it's a long road and it's very windy. And welcome, Ryan. Thanks for coming out and spending some time with us. We always like to get people out to Awanga and see what we're doing. It's kind of a new thing that's historically significant in Southern California. Olive oil has been around in Southern California for hundreds of years, and we're kind of resurrecting it again.
The slow food movement, yes, indeed, man.
Yeah. So we're trying to get people to reduce their dependence on foreign oil, and we came out to this property about 22 years ago. My wife and I were in the wine business, and we saw some opportunities in olive oil and knew a little bit about the history of olive oil in Southern California, and we thought, no one else is doing it.
That's right.
So the competition's not big, unlike the wine business where everyone wants to have a winery.
Everybody everywhere, yeah.
So we planted olives at our house and to start things, and they started taking off. Nance got this stupid idea of opening up an olive oil tasting room. I thought it was ridiculous. But she's a lot smarter than I am, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And found one of the worst retail locations known to man, and still people found it. So
Isn't that amazing when you are on to something, no matter where you start, they'll find you. Like Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like here in Awanga. I mean, that everyone said no one's going to go out to Awanga to taste olive oil, and yet it's becoming a thing.
It's more than the thing. And I'm seeing different varieties based off of like the leaf curl, some of the densities, some of the shape of the leaves, the striations or the variations of the bark, even how some of them, I forgot the term, but basically the spiral pattern that naturally comes out in nature, but some of these operate in 5, some of these operate in 7. Always in odd numbers as well. Nature's a trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are cultivating something special.
Yeah, there's a lot of different varieties. This is kind of our experimental grove as far as varieties too. It's about 2 acres right here in this little grove, and we have this is where the 32 different varieties have been planted. And we kind of, unfortunately, when we planted them, you're always learning. And we wanted to cram as many varieties as possible in here, so we planted them a little bit too close together, and so they've grown into each other, and it's not the most ideal situation
for picking.
Picking, and it's harder. It's nice for weed control because it kind of shades out a lot of the weeds, but as far as harvest and managing things, it's a little bit more difficult in this 2 acres, but it's also become kind of our dining room as well. And so, like, without staying in the field, next week we'll have a table here with about 150 people all lined up real nice and having a nice meal, and we'll get chefs out here barbecuing, and so you can have a nice meal right here in the grove.
So what's the size of this property?
So we're on about 26 acres, and we've got about 10 of those acres planted to olives, and then we have other plants and that we use for dinners and things like that, herbs and fruits and things like that kind of complement everything. So it's a nice ecosystem.
Yeah, this is where the lavender was flourished.
It's kind of cut back right now, and these plants don't look really great right now at this time of year, but it took us a long time to get these cultivated, but now that they're growing, they do really well here. It's a caper. These are caper plants. Yeah, so we grow our own capers. It's a great Mediterranean plant once you can get it started, because once it's going, it goes really well. But getting it going I just remember seeing this beautiful caper plant coming out of a crack in a monastery in Italy, just with all the flowers and everything. I'm like, I got to do that.
Literally just standing right here, I'm seeing capers, olive oil, rosemary, peppercorns. That's it. That could be the start of a dressing or a salad by itself. You got nasturtium tucked over there, lavender.
It's the beauty of the Mediterranean climate. I like to say we out-Mediterranean the Mediterranean.
That's a fact. I think you're winning. When you walk around here, you see old school wheat that is somehow spread through here. I've seen peppercorns. I've seen chicory. I've seen all types of things floating around. Assorted sages, lavenders. The bees, the pollinators around here are very excited.
Yeah, they're very happy, and it's interesting too because in the spring when the olives start to flower, and the blossoms on the olives are really interesting, very small but very aromatic. The bees want nothing to do with them. You'll never see a bee in the olive grove. They're all over the place, but not in the olives. They don't like it.
Well, because olives don't cultivate any sugars. They're pollinators, but they're oil-based, so it doesn't tickle a bee's fancy.
Not at all. I think, I don't know if you've ever tried an olive right off the tree.
Yes. That was a bad mistake. I was very young and dumb.
Yeah. I like to say it's memorable.
Yeah.
You don't forget how bad it tastes.
Never twice.
And yeah, so I think the pollen to the bees is kind of the same way. It's like, in a pinch maybe, but usually we don't find them in the olive groves.
Yeah, very sharp and eye-opening to say the least, man. Yeah. So how many variations of olives do you even have out here? I've seen so many different shapes and colors, hues.
Yeah, there's so many different olive varieties, and here on this property we've planted about 32 different varieties from around the Mediterranean. We're lucky here in California. There was a professor up at UC Davis that traveled around the Mediterranean collecting samples from different countries and planted them up at UC Davis, so you can get cuttings from those varieties up there.
Oh, so you get into like air gapping and and propagation.
Mm-hmm. So there's probably 200 or 300 different varieties that they have available up there. So we've tapped into that source as much as possible.
And now I'm not trying to give you too many gems, I'm not trying to praise you too highly. I don't want you to get a ginormous ego, but
I'll need a new hat.
What you do for everybody who's listening or everybody who's watching, propagation is one of those things where you are keeping a species alive through the act of starting your own from the mother, right? It's kind of like keeping a bloodline healthy. A lot of people aren't really doing that. Also, you take the time to see what works, you review what areas it works in, and you adapt accordingly. You
Absolutely.
are in the flow and in the presence of nature, which is few and far between for everybody these days. So, just to commend you on that, man. Seriously.
Thanks. It's fun.
Yeah. I see you.
And rewarding too. It's nice when you see something that actually works and it thrives in an area that probably wasn't in before. It's pretty rewarding.
You made this space. And it seems to be, keeping you pretty fit too. You're pretty lean and mobile, man. So, there's a testament to that. Yeah. Long locks and good tans,
Well, it's nice being outdoors. This is a great office.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
So you also have kitchen activations and event activations here. How's
Absolutely.
that running?
The events have just keep getting better and better. We have chefs from all over that come out and do different types of events. At our harvest event this year, we had over 30 chefs from all around Southern California and Baja cooking at different stations and cooking some really innovative stuff. So we like to get people out here to enjoy natural food.
Yes,
it all flows together. It's not contrived. And the chefs all have a great time making things that they might not necessarily be able to make in their kitchen because we've got big open flames and things like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Real flavor chasing. Oh
Yes,
my God.
it's great.
I'm very jealous to all guests who have come. Wait, so you mentioned Baja. Does that mean you have other locations?
No, we just have a lot of friends, and I do some consulting down there in Valle de Guadalupe.
Oh, Valle de Guadalupe.
Yeah,
I love that area.
it's so cool.
Yeah. So many vineyards. This is literally feels like a piece of that you brought.
Yeah,
And that's just a testament to, how you and the missus have curated this. My next question, which was for anybody who's listening or anybody who's watching, how do we become guests at these events? That's what I want to know. That's really why I'm here. I'm doing all this just to see if I can get a ticket.
we'll definitely have you out. That's for sure. One of the things we love to do is to share this with others. So we're trying to get the word out in many different ways. The easiest way is subscribing to our emails.
Copy that.
Then you'll get usually first notice. We work a lot with a company called Outstanding in the Field that does table to farm dinners. They take the table to the farm. We have one next week, and on their website, Outstanding in the Field, you can see everything they're doing. But they sell their tickets through there, and they're always a fun event as well.
Outstanding in the Field. Okay, we're gonna hunt them down, and we're gonna have links for everybody, in the description below. So, let's see. You started this 22 years ago. We're on 26 acres. How do you successfully keep a unity of your marriage and potentially raise a family in something like this, man? Because I'm pretty sure your kids are like, oh, I want to go to the mall, or I'm trying to go do this. And you're like, oh, we actually live far from everybody.
Yeah, it's great working with Nancy. My wife's awesome. She really keeps everything together. I'm kind of flaky, and so she keeps things moving in the right direction for sure. Both here and with the kids.
You move with nature. She beats on the tempo.
That's it.
That's
pretty
good
much.
balance, man.
Yeah, it's a good balance. And then the kids have kind of grown up with this. At first, it was a little strange, but like for example, the trees behind us, they planted those for summer camp when they were little. We had them out here all summer planting all these olive trees. And if you ask Nance, she'll show you a picture of. We have three daughters, and our oldest was 9 when they were planting the trees. She's got a picture of her planting the trees, and then a picture from a couple years ago when she got married in the trees that she planted. So
that
kind of comes full
testament.
circle.
That is full circle if I've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
That is one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
You go from planting your tree to being able to establish your vows and start your, life journey, your next phase of your life journey. That's
Well, if I was as smart as I would say I was planning ahead for a cheap wedding venue, having 3 daughters.
yeah.
It just kind of happened organically. But
yeah, no, that's I can't remember who said the quote, but they said to plant a garden. I think it was Jane Goodall. To plant a garden is to plan for the future, and that is definitely what you did. You maybe even not seeing it, but you have definitely stepped into the path of the future, and now you are at a point where you are inspiration to me, other flavor chasers, and just other slow food and organic food, enthusiasts.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is one of one, man. I've been a lot of places and I've eaten a lot of places and I've tasted a lot of things. His olive oils, untouchable. I'm putting it out here now, untouchable. I've been to Italy, I've been to Morocco, I've been to Spain, untouchable.
Well, and imagine that drizzled over some bitter greens.
It's
amazing.
Bitter greens, maybe with some apple. What is that? A splash of vinegar?
As a matter of fact, it's our fresh apple vinegar. So there you go. You don't have to imagine it.
Yes, indeed. Oh my souls, the color contrast. That apple vinegar is beautiful. It's golden. It looks like a fresh apple juice, like a beautiful apple cider. Oh, dude.
That's a great combination, isn't it?
That is money right there. I could put that on like some jicama, maybe with like some fresh cilantro.
Really, olive oil is fruit juice.
Yes.
And in order to have good fruit juice, you have to have good fruit. And growing fruit in Southern California, we've got the best climate on the planet.
And a great salinity. Yeah.
So nature does a lot of work for us here.
Yes, indeed.
And we're really blessed.
Yeah. What would you say has to be? I would say, give me your top 5 highlights of just going through the process of developing this, where you just knew instinctively, like, okay, I'm on the right path. Because I'm pretty sure you had some moments where you were like, am I
Yeah.
blowing up my life here?
No, there was I mean, going back to Nancy opening that tasting room, which ended up being probably one of the first olive oil tasting rooms in the country. That was a leap. And when the first customer bought the first bottle, that was like, maybe this will work.
Yeah, you felt it. You're
Yeah.
like, okay.
And then every single time, no matter what, either tasting out here or in one of our other tasting rooms, when you hand someone that cup of olive oil and they look at it and they're like, you want me to taste this? And they take that first sip and you see that change in their eyes and it's like, we got it.
I mean, the flavor profiles, of course, are amazing, but just the scents on some of your olive oils, it had me fully invoked. I have what I call culinary autism. So I'll smell something or I'll see something, and in my brain, I have built a whole meal and a whole dish, and I can also envision a dish and ingredients that I want to pair with it. And all I did was like smell your oil or walk past one of your trees and see the shade of one of those olives that aren't quite black yet, that like dark purple hue. And it's a special gift. Shout out to all the flavor chasers that have that skill. There's a lot of chefs out there, and I'm
Yep.
pretty sure you know a handful of them.
Yeah, we love working with all the chefs that really get it and know how to, like, with a few subtle flavors, change a dish completely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an art.
What is the variety of your olive menu right now? Do you do seasonal rotations, or you just kind of grow?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do, like right now, we're coming to the end of our harvest season. Usually we're harvesting until about the end of February. So right now, blood oranges are becoming ripe, so we're doing our blood orange olive oil right now. And we're also dabbling in, every year we try new things and see how they work. This year we've got some turmeric and ginger that we're going to be crushing with the olives to make a turmeric ginger. And I'd love to have you try that and see what meal you concoct in your head.
I am
with that.
literally a big fan of turmeric and ginger. Big on anti-inflammatories.
Yep.
Big on reducing nitrogen. Great for the gut. So, yeah, I'm already a fan. I
Yeah,
haven't even tried it yet.
that's going to be a fun one. So, so we're always playing with new flavors, and everything that we do, the flavor comes from the freshness of the herbs or whatever we're adding to it, because we crush the fresh basil with the olives, or crushing the turmeric and ginger right with the olives. So we're extracting all the essential oils just right with the olive oil, and that just makes it not only aromatically but on your palate, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, that basil oil, I had it last fall in 2024. That basil oil was phenomenal. I think you had a citrus one as well. It was like a lemon one.
We have a fresh lemon.
Man, let me tell you, I've never had an olive oil that stopped me in my tracks, and like where you lose train of thought because you're just so emotionally involved in your taste buds.
Well, that's actually inspired by a trip I took to Italy, and we were right around Naples, and they have those big, beautiful lemons there, and there's an olive oil producer that was throwing them in with his olives and crushing them together, and then we had it with some fresh fish that they just caught, and it was like, I got to do this. This is amazing.
That's it. With a bronzino, oh man, or
so
good,
good.
yeah, a fresh sardine. I can't even imagine. So now that we know that you have went through the ringer to get here, what was one of the moments that let you know, like, we're established and I'm staying and I'm gonna keep fighting through it no matter what it is? Yeah.
I think it's that mode more than we made it.
Yeah. Well,
It's
never
the
not.
constant battle. It's the challenge of trying new things and seeing what new things people are going to enjoy, and finding new customers and new people to enjoy things, especially now as the business has been around for a while, keeping it relevant with younger people. Their taste buds are changing. Their whole way of dining and experiencing food is so much different. And keeping up with that is always a challenge.
I feel like you're kicking in the door on it. You don't have to keep up with it. Like if you're doing outdoor dining experiences, you're gonna have people harassing your website very soon. Just to be
well,
in.
and I think people appreciate that. They like having nature be part of the dining room. I think it's a thing that they don't always get to experience.
Yeah, it's something deeply built in from generations long ago that we forgot. Just
That's right.
Communing outside, good food, good sky. And it's nothing like having a bite of something delicious while you're hearing the birds chirp, the breeze is on you. It's priceless. It really is priceless. And you've cultivated that here. Well, speaking of nature, so specifically where we are in a mountain range. There's a lot of rolling hills, but I know that it's bipolar weather out here. Sometimes you get huge dry spells. Sometimes you get frost.
Mm-hmm.
How do olive trees even deal with the frost? Things of that nature.
Well, as long as you have the fruit off the tree by the time you're getting frost, you're in good shape. You definitely don't want to be leaving the fruit on the tree because the frost will change the flavor of the oil completely. But as far as just growing the trees, they're bulletproof.
Oh, really?
They are the easiest thing in the world to grow. Once you get them established, it's almost impossible to kill an olive tree.
Wow.
It's really fun. They don't take a lot of water because the fruit has so much phytochemicals making it bitter. No animal wants to eat it, so we don't have to worry about birds or anything.
Wow.
It's also fighting off molds, mildews, and funguses, so we don't have to spray any chemicals. I mean, it's ideal. It really is. Now, if we can make harvest easier, that would be nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure thousands and thousands.
Yeah, that's where all the expense comes in is at harvest time because they don't come off the tree easy and it makes it a challenge.
Not at all. This is not like an apple orchard where you see the machine just shake it and then the mat just rolls back. That is not happening.
No, we're working.
Yeah.
Lots of hands.
Yeah, you had to run off several times before we started shooting just to make sure that things are where they need to be, and I commend you because this is obviously a labor of love. Yes, it's a product, and yes, it produces a financial abundance so you can take care of a family and you can, have a unit and do all these things, but the labor of love that it takes just to continue every day and say, I'm here, man, that's a testament within itself. I'm sorry, I still got a billion questions.
That's all right.
Yeah, they're just all running.
I'll make up a billion answers, and they'll be different every time.
Perfect. Yeah. So with the production, so you started very small scale.
Right.
Like, how did that process work of even scaling up? And this is 20 plus years ago. So where did you start?
It's been a work in progress.
Was it
sure.
like a hand press, or did you get a machine at first? Or?
Well, at first we were actually taking our olives to another mill to get it made. There weren't that many olive mills in California at the time. I was on the California Olive Oil Council taste panel and knew pretty much everyone in the business, so we had some connections. But as we started to grow, going up to the Central Valley was not as practical. So we built our own mill to start with, because we're caught in the middle between not quite being big enough for a real commercial mill and still kind of caught in the middle with not being able to take it up to another mill. So we built a mill, kind of innovative, based on the old-fashioned stone mills. Cleaning stainless steel is a lot easier than cleaning stone. So
super efficient.
the olives go in, the wheels go around and crush the olives. Then once they're all crushed, it sounds like we're making popcorn when we're doing this. The seeds getting crushed sound just like popcorn popping. Once we stop hearing the popcorn sound, this mixer goes right underneath here and we push all the paste into the mixer.
Mm-hmm.
That's doing two things. As it's mixing, the seeds that were broken up are liberating more of the oil, and the oil's mixing with the fruit, and that's where you pick up like the grassy notes and the fruity flavors.
Yeah, because you're getting it so fresh.
If you come in here when we're doing this, it smells so good. It's just like it makes you hungry. Your mouth waters. It's awesome.
There's nothing going on, and I'm doing that right now. My mouth is watering. Yeah, I'm salivating.
So then we'll auger the paste out onto these mats, and so we get like a big tapenade pizza. on here.
Oh.
And then that's what we'll bring over to the press.
And what's
these
the,
are stainless
these
steel.
are thick, yeah. That's a tight micron on that screen.
We
Yeah.
want to keep the solids on the mat when we're pressing it. So we want it so the oil can penetrate through, but the solids will stay on the mat.
All solids out.
And so we'll start stacking these up on the presses, and then we'll start squishing it, and the juice will run into this tray, and then into the magical olive oil separators. And literally, we use magic to separate it. And what's happening in the magic trick, you've done it before, where you have oil and water together and you shake it up.
And it just,
You put it on the counter and it magically separates. So as the oil and water are filling this up, it's separating. And when it overflows out of the top, the oil's lighter, so that pushes the oil to the next container.
And you're doing cold water for the density, right? Keep the density of the oil.
And we'll drain the water out, and we have olive oil. It worked great for years. We still use it. I mean, it's still functional and makes great oil, but we've kind of grown past that to where we do have a couple of commercial-sized mills. One, we built the first ever mobile mill. It's a commercial mill inside of a 40-foot trailer, so we can take it to any of our groves around Southern California, park it there, and make the olive oil as they pick it, so it's fresh as possible.
And you're not in Guinness World Records? No, I'm sorry, I've just heard of
For the craziest person ever?
Yeah, exactly. 3 or 4 first. And so that's a testament, man.
We actually, when we first had the mobile mill, we were also teaching a class up at UC Davis on producing olive oil, and we've seen a lot of the students there now have their own mills, and we're seeing the industry really growing all around California now. It's really great.
Yeah, that is a crazy thing to just come up with. You see a hole, and instead of finding somebody to be your provider or to create for you, you just go ahead and do it. That's a game changer.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of agriculture, Southern California isn't really known for agriculture. We're more known for beaches and movie stars and stuff like that.
But we're the powerhouse of agriculture.
Yeah. And so there's not a lot of access to some things that, like, especially in the olive oil industry, because most of that is located up in Northern California. So we're kind of, if you look at a map of California with all the olive groves and everything, we're down at the bottom where it's like there'd be dragons there or something.
Yeah, you're just that little dot off the beaten path.
So we've always been kind of isolated from the mainstream of the business. So we've had to fend for ourselves on a lot of different things and do the best we can with what we have.
Whew. Hey, you have taken it to the next level. Did you start in the wine industry? You said you were part of the Olive Council. How did you transition?
Well, my wife and I were both in the wine industry, and that's how we met.
And
we moved to Temecula to do the wine thing, and then it morphed into the olive oil thing. I was judging wine competitions, and I would work my way through college as a sommelier, and
so
so
you have a palate.
Getting on a taste panel was pretty easy, actually. So, and I still judge olive oil competitions, not so much wine anymore. We still make wine. We still have our winery license. We make a little bit of wine, but the main focus is olive oil and also making vinegars. Vinegars have become a big thing.
That's right. I did taste some of your vinegars previously when I was at your store. How did the vinegar even come up? Was that the next phase, or was that automatic intention?
So oil and vinegar, it's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a natural progression. And being in the wine business, knowing how easy it is to make vinegar, because all we're doing in the wine business is trying not to make vinegar.
That's it. Yeah. Let it go wrong.
Yeah. So now I can just let the wine go bad, and it works better. So it was kind of a natural progression.
Man, natural progression. I mean, you say that, but there has to be some type of awareness and intuition, like I said, where both of you keep saying yes to this opportunity that you're pursuing. I really touch on this the most because there are so many people in these days and times that find holes in the market, that see parts of the industry and anything that they do that they want to change or they want to implement themselves, and yet they don't have the internal fortitude, as my dad says, or the mental clarity to be able to pursue it. So both
Well,
of you are a testament.
Nance is really the key in that, because she sees these opportunities and everything, and she's like, well, what if we did this?
Gotcha.
And then that's really an indication that, Tom, you better go out and figure out how to do this.
Yeah, you can be the student, but she has to be the compass, and it comes together.
It does.
And the ship's on course.
Most of the time.
Hey, you can't. Nobody's 100%.
Sometimes it's a little bit out of the way journey, but we make it.
Yeah, side quests. You learn a lot on side quests.
Definitely.
Yeah. Gyms. There's a lot of gyms you find on side quests. Where do you see the future of this as you are 22 years in? You have now broken ground on creating pieces of equipment that didn't exist. You have blends and different cultivated species from all over the world. You're hosting events. You created a food ecosystem. Like, that's just listing off the top of my head. There's 20 other things. Where do you see yourself going?
I'm just continuing to enjoy the journey and see what's next. It's hard to predict what's going to be next, and it's easier to embrace something that comes along and say, yeah, that's where the path goes now. And hopefully we can drag some of our kids along with it, and they can take over when it's time to kick back a little bit more. But right now it's too much fun.
So you just embrace being adaptive and enjoying the ride.
It's all about the journey.
See, gyms, you would never think that in a million years that somebody who produces olive oil would be able to give you insight on just how to be a good human being and enjoy the organized havoc of this life.
Are my kids listening? I hope.
Yeah, kids never listen to their parents, but then you hear the same thing from somebody else and they're like, oh,
Yeah, it's
click.
like, oh.
Yeah, my parents say the same thing with me. It's all good. Yeah. It's part of the gift of being a child. You're like, oh, I get to ruffle your feathers a little bit.
That's
I
it.
appreciate you.
Yep.
So now that you have created these transitions, you have these orchards running, you have these events that are being cultivated, and you've even been lucky enough to have like you said, one of your daughters get married on this property. With this property, is there anything that you see that you still want to do that is just on its way? Maybe foreshadowing.
Well, one of the things Nance and I had talked about when we first got the property, before it was cool, was incorporating people to be able to stay overnight and enjoy things.
Yeah.
And now they call it glamping. Back then we were thinking it would just be kind of cool to have a few yurts out here and let people stay, because we are pretty far away from everything.
Yes.
So that's, I think, the next evolution is setting up some really interesting lodging places here. So when people come out and enjoy events, they can stay here afterwards and maybe have a nice breakfast after in the morning or something like that.
Yeah,
But,
a little bit. Bed and breakfast.
yeah, kind of more of a rustic bed and breakfast kind of thing. But doing more and different events, trying to interact with the community and show them where their food comes from, and especially with younger people, understanding that, you know, their food doesn't come wrapped in plastic in a grocery store, and that's the end of it, that it actually grows and is made by people, and how that's done. That's a big part of it. We're doing a big project with the local high school, helping set up a regenerative farm and creating a curriculum for the kids to learn how to farm. And
Wow.
it's those kind of things are where we see the evolution going, getting younger people involved with all these things, whether it's culinary side of things or the growing side of things, and keeping the next generation moving into it.
I would love to talk to you about that further after this. I have, during quarantine, you know, we all saw the shortages of things, of our food supply system change, fast food system stocks skyrocket, people fighting over, you know, necessities like toilet paper in the aisles of Costco. And I had this epiphany. We don't know how to cultivate our own resources anymore. And kind of in the same vein, I started Terra Chef Academy to focus on sustainable practices and all of our food from seed to table. And the whole focus is to get those who are already adults to understand and participate. But like you said, get the youth for it to be ingrained in them, so then it just becomes part of your oxygen. It's the style of life. It's not a lifestyle.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would love to help
Yeah,
insulate.
it's a great project, and the kids that are at the school are amazing. They're embracing it. It's the curriculum started a couple years ago, and now there's a waiting list for the classes. I mean, it's
As there
awesome.
should be. Yeah, as there should be. So, what are some of the health benefits? Because we've talked about so much, but give me
How
the
much time do we
insight.
have?
Yeah, of olive oil. I know olive oil has a very good smoke point, has a boatload of health benefits topically,
Absolutely.
or just for daily early ingestion. Please give me more insight.
Well, we could go on forever on that because it's really, I like to say it's the original superfood. They've been using olive oil for thousands of years, and if you look at the cultures that embrace olive oil as the main fat in their diet, the health benefits are just obvious. Low heart disease, low Alzheimer's disease. They're not obese. I mean, there's so many benefits, and not only that, but their skin and their hair. People that embrace the olive oil culture, they're just healthier in so many different ways. And if you think about it, as a chef, the whole goal of making food is flavor, right?
That's it.
And so if you're not adding something that doesn't add to the flavor, you're taking away from the food, right? So adding something like vegetable oil, which has negative flavor, really, is just not beneficial from the flavor standpoint, but also from the health standpoint. Adding something like olive oil, if you bake with olive oil, your baked goods are always going to be tastier. They're always going to be moister because of the chemistry. And they're going to be healthier.
So, in this area, which has changed a lot over time, what are some of the complications you had to deal with as far as climate change?
Well, I mean, we see in Southern California, it gets emphasized. You know, we go from drought periods to we get too much rain in some years. A couple years ago, we had a hurricane that blew through the desert, and well, tropical storm at that point, but blew right through here in August. You know, so you're constantly, as a farmer, you're dealing with nature. Nature never deals the same hand twice. And so you're just reacting to everything. So you have to be nimble. The beauty of what we're doing is the olive trees are pretty substantial beasts. They can put up with a lot. So they really don't react to the climate as much as like when we're growing grapes. You get a lot of reaction to each year is different. You can see that in the vintage years of wines.
Yes.
Whereas with olive oil, there's a lot more consistency because the trees are more substantial and able to store things that they don't have this year and use it, and then store it when it's in abundance. So they have a lot more resilience.
So they're using they're using the oil within themselves to be able to store and retain and use accordingly.
Yep. So they can compensate a lot much more for differences in the changing of the climate and everything. They're well suited too because olive trees are green year round.
Yes.
Beautiful trees, and they're planted in some of the most sunniest places on Earth, and so they're fixing more carbon than almost any other plant on the planet. And there's been studies showing that even with all the production and shipping of olive oil and everything, an olive grove is a net carbon sink. So it's always sequestering much more carbon than it is using in the production of the olive oil.
That is one of the most insightful values, especially in these days and times of our climate change, of our carbon emissions, and just overall the impact on air pollution regionally. I know over here the social climate has changed a lot, also between highways, between people becoming low income, people dealing with crime levels. How did you deal with this area? Because I know at one point in time there was a lot of sketchy individuals and a lot of rural substance abuse. So how was that?
Well, when we first came out here, actually the first time we came to look at the property, the kids wouldn't get out of the car. It was way too scary. And we agreed. So once we did decide to buy the property, it took a while just to get it cleaned up. There was so much trash and broken down double wide trailers, and it was 2 years just getting junk off the property. And at that time, there was a lot of questionable people coming on the property because there was a lot of questionable things being done on the property before we bought it. So it was sketchy for sure. And a lot of people, a lot of my friends would come out here and look around and go, "You got a lot of vision."
Yeah, you turned it from a den to a haven, man. Yeah, that's the difference.
And it's still a work in progress. We're still, there's still areas that we're trying to keep under control because we are blessed out here with a lot of water. One of the reasons why we bought the property is there's a lot of water on the property, which is a blessing and a curse because with water and sunlight, if you don't do something about it, it's going to just grow out of control. So we're constantly battling in that way too. But it was definitely a challenge. It took us a long time to get this place kind of wrangled into shape. And it's still a challenge. When I look around, I see everything that needs to be done. I'm seeing this, it's like, oh no, we have to do that, we have to do that. When everyone else comes out and goes, oh, how nice this is, I'm just seeing what needs to be done.
Yeah, the ever-evolving maintenance. What's the life cycle of one of the average species of tree that you have here?
That's a good question. Traveling around olive growing regions around the world, everyone's happy to show you their like oldest groves and everything. I've seen olive trees well over 1,000 years old, still producing.
Whoa.
And so I'll let you know in a couple thousand years how they're doing. But they have a long lifespan. There's groves that I haven't been to, but I know of, like in Cyprus, they say the trees are over 3,000 years old. So.
Yeah, Cypress Villas, Cypress Hills, that's a whole nother level. I wish we could be able to go to 1,000 years. Salt to Table will be streamcast simultaneously right behind
right
you.
in your brain.
Your eyelids.
You just think about it and it's there.
Oh man. But California gives you so much. You got the
Absolutely.
weather, you got the sun, you got the water, you got the soil. But how do you deal with the fires and the drastic changes that come along with that?
It's one of those things. I mean, unfortunately, as we progress into the wild nature and more houses and things are being built out there, and there's just more people, there's more danger with fire, whether it's caused by human intervention or something like that. So on this property, we've had a couple of wildfires come through here. After the first one, which was right after we got the property and we were still cleaning things up, it was a little worse, and the firefighter said, it's always good to keep defensible space. And so we kept that in mind. In this last fire, because we had defensible space, we really had very little damage that was done to the property. So it's all about, pay attention to the guys that know, and when they're telling you something, heed it.
So you mentioned that term defensible space. Give me a little more insight on what that means as far as how you cultivate or how you remove certain things around here.
Well, it's having an area where the fire's not going to burn through rapidly.
Okay.
So the fire department would have time to stop the fire before it gets into structures and things like that. So we always keep areas where there's very low or no vegetation in bands, and we've got workers that do it. They do a lot of buying and oinking and things like that. So the sheep and the pigs and everything, we'll let them out there and they'll eat all the vegetation and everything to keep it low right before fire season starts.
Oh yeah, I hear a rooster letting us know who's boss right now. So how many animals, how much livestock do you have on the property?
It varies. Right now the sheep are having babies, so last check, which was yesterday, we just had 2 more little babies, so we're up to about 9 little lambs and about 9 moms. And then we have some pigs that help graze as well. They're kuni pigs, so they're grazing pigs.
Oh
from
yeah,
New
I've heard
Zealand.
good things about those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are those the ones with the wattles on
Yeah,
the
they
side?
got the big wattles.
Yeah, one of my clients, when I was private chefing, he had the Kuni pigs, and they were just so adorable and polite. And we take the trimmings, of what they can have, and just throw them over
Oh
and
yeah,
let them do their thing.
they're a good garbage disposal.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
But so you are deep into upcycling everything from the chairs that we're sitting in to, you were telling us off camera, even the branches that you have to trim off, you use them to now smoke some of your olive oils.
That's right. Yeah, we try to use there's no such thing as waste. It's just another opportunity if you think about it.
Ooh. Yeah, you even upcycle broken glass, man.
Yeah, these are all our bottles. You can't, because we don't have California Redemption plan on it.
Yeah.
We just, our guests bring them back and we put them in a cement mixer and tumble them.
Wow.
Yeah, some local artists make different stuff with our glass, and there's all kinds of like necklaces and things like that.
Yeah, it'll just never get old. I consistently turning my head no matter where I am, looking at this, looking at that.
We also do olive oil soap. So making soap, olive butters, things like that with handmade soap. We have our own company that does all that with olive oil as well. So any olive oil that doesn't really, maybe it sat around for too long, wasn't in the best of shape or something like that, goes to the...
Yeah, no, really, that transition of just always being able to upcycle and to reinvent your waste into something that's a viable product, it keeps you at the tip of the spear, like I said.
Well, it's always good to have outlets for different things. So.
Yeah. Oh my souls.
We're always looking for how can we use this. Inspired by some people in Palestine that came out to visit us. They take the paste, the solids from the olives after they crush them, and they make briquettes for their barbecue out of them. And we did that for a while. We subscribe to kind of a farming practice. We call it Kaizen, which is a Japanese term. Most people know it from industry, but it translates as make better. So we want to make things better. We get the opportunity, if we compost the solids after we press the olives, put it back into the grove, it's going to increase the tilth of the soil, and it's something the tree gave us that we have. So we're constantly, we use every bit of the water, the solids afterwards. Everything goes back into the grove and gets used again. So the only thing that we take off the property really is the olive oil, and that's just solar energy in the form of fat.
Yeah, that is, man, Tom, I wish Nancy was here so I can give her flowers as well, because both of you.
She's awesome.
Yeah, even like these chairs. First off, this is a testament to their capabilities of growing, how healthy their soils are. These are cypress branches from your property, and I am not a little person. I'm 6'4", 275. And this chair has me snug as a bug in a rug.
Comfy, isn't it?
Yeah.
A friend of ours, a neighbor, comes and collects them and makes this furniture for us. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is a dream. Thank you so much for all of this.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, man.
Love sharing it.
And I cannot wait to see what this turns into as you just evolve with nature, as
and
it
you.
does. Yeah, likewise. Oh, I'm gonna be bugging you. This is definitely a place not to hang out, but to contribute. Some places just naturally call you to be of service, and this is definitely one of them.
You're always welcome.
Temecula Olive Oil Company, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.